Ginni Thomas, wife of Justice Clarence Thomas, was in a cult. She admits that she was in a cult. She's now in another cult, which explains a lot of her behavior. Here's the video.
Hi, I was in Lifespring, and I was what I considered to be deprogrammed. And I guess coming out of, when we talk about it, the focus of this discussion is on coming out of a cult. There were a number of things that went on for me. When you come away from a cult, you have to find a balance in your life as far as getting involved with fighting the cult or exposing it. And kind of the other angle is getting a sense of yourself and what was it that made you get into that group, and what open questions are there that still need to be answered. And I think I'm struggling with a balance between that. I want to expose Lifespring. I want to keep other people from going through that experience, but I also don't want to go overboard in that regard. So all those things that got me to Lifespring are still there. And I guess I struggle with not going overboard and fighting the cults, but I know that's important too.
Okay, this video has resurfaced. Ginni Thomas was in a cult, She's currently in a cult today. I'm gonna prove it to you. Now remember, Virginia Ginni Thomas, the wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, has been outspoken about her interest in the QAnon and her belief that the election was stolen from Donald Trump. Now remember, QAnon is a cult in itself. This is a new cult, all right? Let's put up a picture of Clarence Thomas, the Supreme Court Justice. Now I know why he looks like that, okay? QAnon started with a mysterious anonymous person using the name Q, Clarence Patriot, and claiming to be a high-ranking intelligence officer with access to insidious secrets. As newly unearthed footage showed, the Nebraska attorney who says she attended Donald Trump's Stop the Steal rally on January 6th before it turned violent, speaking about her departure from the now defunct Lifespring cult. Experts are wondering if her past is what prompted her controversial viewpoints today. She was in the cult called Lifespring. Lifespring had about 400,000 members. They did ridiculous things. It was exposed as a cult. Ginni Thomas, the wife of Clarence Thomas, was in that cult. She also is the person who continued to encourage the chief of staff of Donald Trump, Meadows, to overturn the election of Donald Trump. She attended the Stop the Steal rally. She attended the rally in disguise. And then a year later admitted that she in fact was there, but then said she left before anything happened because it was cold outside. Hell, it was cold when you went there. I'm sure you dressed for the weather. There's more. There's a cult interventionist named Dr. Stephen Hassan told Inside Edition, is Ginni Thomas under Donald Trump's sway? Question mark. She's under the spell of either a person who is controlling her or an ideology that's cultic, like this belief that God wants Donald Trump to be president. Now, the good doctor is not making this up. That's actually in the text message from Ginni to Meadows, okay? That this is what you need to do for God, okay? Disrupt democracy, shred the Constitution, and God to say thank you. She texts this basically to Meadows, right? A cult-like behavior. There's more. The wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas reportedly urged President Donald Trump's top aide to make efforts to overturn the results of the 2020 presidential election. That's according to NPR. CBS and the Washington Post report that toward the end of the Trump administration, Ginni Thomas exchanged text messages over several weeks with Mark Meadows, who was the White House chief of staff at the time. There's more. The text messages were among those turned over by Meadows. Meadows turned over the messages to the House committee investigating the January 6, 2021 attack on the US Capitol, the attack to overturn what? The election, right? He later stopped cooperating with the panel. In January, the Supreme Court rejected former President Donald Trump's bid to block the release of some presidential records to the House Select Committee investigating the January 6th Capitol riot. Now, it's important to note what Trump's argument was. Trump's basic argument was that his presidential powers, his executive presidential powers, extended beyond his presidency. A ridiculous argument, silly as hell. Nobody has even tried to make that argument before, but he did. All of the justices said, nope, that's silly. That's not going to fly here, Trump. Except Clarence Thomas. Only one of the 9 justices dissented. Clarence Thomas at the time. Thomas provided no explanation for why he would have approved Trump's request. Boom, I got an explanation. Maybe Clarence is in the cult too. I know we put a lot of emphasis on Ginni Thomas and saying, well, she's manipulating Clarence Thomas. Maybe, according to one commentator, conservative guy Armstrong, he said, well, she didn't tell her husband that she was involved in these things. It's just a coincidence, Doc. Or maybe they are both in a cult. Food for thought. Doc, you got some experience with this stuff, being a man of psychiatry yourself. You need to explain to us, brother, what in the hell is going on here?
Well, there's a lot going on here. I would say in general, first, let me just say that I have, as a psychiatrist, I'm always very wary of talking about people I have not interviewed. I have no idea what's going on in her mind and her psychology. So why is this story important? It's important, first of all, because of course, the ideology that Ginni Thomas is espousing is shared by lots and lots of people, but all those people don't have direct access to the Supreme Court. They don't have direct access to the President of the United States. And so partially, I think that's the issue. And the other issue is this is Lifespring. This is not just any cult. This is a cult that had people take off their clothes in front of each other and body shame each other. It was a Ponzi scheme. It told people that if you didn't join this cult, the world was going to end. So this is not just any cult. This is like the 8-track tape player of cults, the big cult of the 1980s and 1990s. And I do think there's a question of the temporality of the biology here. So I really would want to know. Apparently she married Clarence Thomas a year after that video was made. How much did he know, and how much was he influenced? I do think that we should probably get to the bottom, at least of the historical story here. And again, I just think that the correlation between the past and the present is really this question of influence and really what's going on behind the scenes. I think you're right about that.
Yeah, well said.